What's up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa, and with me, as always, the great and powerful Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
What's up, brewskis?
Tonight's brew is from Redlight. Redlight, the brewery / tap room, the legendary bar in Orlando, Florida.
We need some glassware still. Excuse us.
That we do. We need to grab the glassware from there. That is our fault. Apologies. It's their Hellas Lager, Streets of Gold. This is one of their, I don't know, I wouldn't call it flagship beers, but one of the ones that it's
a mainstay.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Mainstay. Mainstay. Clean, refreshing. We're gonna do it up on the show, so let's get right into it. What's on tap for this evening? We got to talk about this new legislation that is supposed to take place, where finally somebody in the Senate or Congress or whatever has woken up to the plight of the average gamer.
Yes, of the little man.
And they've written some legislation that would make it so that bots cannot buy up all of the product from retail businesses.
Yeah.
Best Buy, Target, Walmart, and the like.
They're going to make them do one of those tests where they have to click all the sidewalks.
Basically make these bots turn these bots into humans.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic news if this actually happens.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that. And also, we got some trailer trash coming your way.
Just a limited
Just
one.
a little one.
Yeah.
In the form of the new Matrix Revolutions trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Revolutions? Resurrections. Revolutions was number 3.
Yeah.
Resurrections is 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like their subtitles, but we'll get into that also. But before we can do all that, we got to crack open into these brewskis. Mm-hmm. So let's do it up. This is the One Beer In podcast.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, you splashed on your own glass. Yeah. Beautiful.
Hey, look at that. The good thing about this is there's not a lot of head retention on this, so that's going to dissipate pretty quickly.
Look at you talking like a head brewmaster.
I've just poured this fucking beer enough that it just fucking, I know what it does. I know how it reacts. 50, 20. Okay. Pour the rest of that. Clink it up.
Cheers. It's a tasty beverage.
That's right. This is the One Beer In podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew and we see where that one brew takes us. This is episode 335. And we thank you guys, as always, for listening, sharing, subscribing, devouring, drinking, all that jazz of the podcast. We're very appreciative of any and everybody that takes in the content.
Yes.
As they say. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Let's start off the show with some trailer trash.
Trailer trash!
This week, we have the first big trailer has been out for a while.
Yeah.
But now we've just been seeing clips of the new movie that's coming out, Matrix Resurrections. And you, sir, you have some reservations about Resurrections.
More like Matrix Reservations, am I right?
Matrix Reservations.
Reservations, brother.
So, let's just get right into it. You've got opinions.
I do. So I'm gonna bounce this back to you as soon as I'm done. But,
okay.
Because I want to know your opinion too. I don't know about you guys out there, but the more I see of this movie, the more I'm worried. And that's for one major reason. And that's that it is so self-referential. It feels like, and again, haven't seen the movie yet, so we're not talking about a movie review yet. Could be awesome. right now it seems like it's just going to be almost a clip show of the original Matrix movie, just redone, and kind of just be a soft reboot rehash of what we've already seen.
Yeah.
Which The Matrix should never be. I mean, say what you will about the sequels, which kind of suck. But they were at least, did different things than you may have anticipated or expected from the franchise to do.
Yeah.
The thing I think The Matrix, I guess the ultimate sin that The Matrix can make is being boring and redundant. After being such like a bright star of unique storytelling, and obviously there have been stories about the virtual world, what's real, man, and all that kind of thought, but it was the first time that was really like crystallized on film like that.
Yeah.
So I would hate to see a Matrix after all this anticipation, all this time that we've been waiting for something new, and it just be kind of Matrix again,
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest fear. And from all the trailers I've seen and everything they've shown, it's just like, remember this, remember this, remember this. It's happening again, which, is fine. It's kind of what they did with Star Wars. But I don't know. I would hope that The Matrix would be more heady than that. And I'm hoping that this is a big red herring and it's really going to be much deeper, much more philosophical, much more interesting than just like The Matrix is happening again,
Yeah.
But all the trailers, the more I see, the more it seems like it's just, a greatest hits of what we've already seen. And that worries me.
I think when they do trailers, 10, 15, 20 years after the original movie, they can't help but go, remember this?
Yeah.
We're bringing it back, right? I think that that's the main trapping that comedy sequels fall into, which is, remember this? Remember that thing that made you laugh a couple years ago?
Call back.
We're doing it again.
Yeah.
And with this being that it's a sequel to a movie that came out in what? Well, when was
99, right?
No. Well, that was the first movie.
The first one.
The first movie was 99.
Yeah.
The last movie was 2005, I think. Look that shit up, bro. I need to be right. I think it's 2005. Come on, let's see.
03.
Fuck! 2003? No way.
That's a long time ago.
Holy shit. So yeah, they've waited decades to make this new movie.
Yeah.
And you can't help but want to remind the audience of what made the first trilogy great in the first place. So remind people as to why they should even care about this series, right? But I will say, personally, I hate callbacks. I hate references to the last movie. I hate it all. It's one of the reasons why when you go back and say, watch like Austin Powers, and we're not, Austin Powers is not like this beacon of like cinema excellence or anything, but it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
The first movie's great. And then the second and third one are literally just rehashes of the same jokes from the first movie over and over and over again.
Throw in a couple different characters and just
but those characters do the same jokes. So it's like
I don't know, man. I Love Gold hit pretty hard.
I love gold.
I love gold.
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why The Hangover didn't work. The first movie, I think, is a perfect comedy.
Yeah.
Save for being not very timely. But the second and third one are just references to the first one. That's all they are.
Sure.
And it happens all the time, which is why I hate when they do comedy sequels. Every time a comedy sequel comes out, it's just... I actually asked this on Twitter. If there's ever been a comedy sequel that didn't reference the first one's best jokes. And no one was able to answer the question because I can't... Off the top of my head, I can't think of a comedy that has been able to just replicate the beauty and the the moment of the
Right.
first movie without referencing the first movie over and over and over again.
I'm even struggling to think of a comedy sequel that wasn't mostly just callbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or really like stands on its own.
Yeah.
You know, like, because
Think about it.
there have been decent comedy sequels, but I
What
can't.
part 2 can you think of that's just better? First of all, better than the original, or even as good as the original?
Yeah, that's tough. I'm sure people are screaming at their phones right now.
Yeah. Airplane 2. So, not to say that it's a 1-to-1 comparison, but I think it's pretty close as far as movie sequels are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I'm trying to say is I think you get a closer comparison to like comedy sequels and sequels of any movie that are too far away from the original movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because they have to reference the original movie
Mm-hmm.
for people to connect with this new one now.
Right.
So they have to make those references for people to care.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't know, like these movies, they should be able to stand on their own. They should just be good enough. Right.
I mean, and I want to say references aren't inherently, in my opinion, a bad thing. I think it plays almost like as an in-joke that if you've seen the first one, like it gives you more of an understanding and like a little wink and, elbow to like, oh yeah, like I remember this character going through this before and that's why this is paying off now. Or
yeah, only if it's earned.
Sure.
If you just throw it in there and it's just like a nudge, wink, wink to the audience, it's like, nah, fuck you.
Okay.
Because I've paid the money, I've gone to the theater to watch this new movie. Obviously, I'm a fan of the series. You should treat it that way. These filmmakers should never insult the audience and assume that they either haven't seen the movie or didn't understand the movie or need to be reminded of the last movie.
Yeah.
You should treat the audience as a person who like understands what they're watching. Like you don't big brain them and like you get the highbrow. You understand what we're doing here, right? You get this. You don't have to do that
It's
shit.
challenging.
Yeah, but fuck, I dropped the key. But I think that you make the movie with the audience member in mind who has seen the last movie and is excited about this movie and say has watched the last movie before right before they've gone to the theater, so that they don't need to be reminded of like why the first one was great in the first place.
Yeah, and I think a really good sequel can even stand on its own.
It should.
Like if you don't know anything about it going into it, you can still enjoy the story arc and kind of follow along enough for it to make sense.
Yeah.
Of course, you should be able to get more out of it if you are a fan of the series, but I mean, I don't know. I just, again, my fear with Matrix Resurrections is that it's just going to be callbacks. It's just going to be fan service. It's going to be really shallow. It's going to have nothing new to say. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a rehashing of everything we saw already in the Matrix 1, probably done better before than it is today.
Yeah. And that is disappointing because, I mean, it really does feel like, okay, as exciting as it is to see that they're doing this movie, what new ground could they tread? Honestly,
I'm sitting here wanting to be surprised.
Yeah,
I want to be pleasantly surprised and eat my words. I have hope. I don't think there's no chance this movie's any good at all, but I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried that it's gonna be just okay, which a Matrix movie shouldn't be. I want it to be excellent.
I hope you're wrong.
Yeah,
I hope you're super wrong, but you're probably right. You're probably right because, well, first of all, it's not both siblings. It's just one of the Wachowski siblings.
Right.
And, I mean, the other one was like, I've done everything that I can do with that.
Well,
and I'm not returning.
I can't help but respect her for that because, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like, I've done it before. I don't want to return back to that world. I've said everything I need to say about it. It's like, okay, yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense, which leads me to worry.
Yeah.
That
well, and for better or for worse, the 3 Matrix movies at least are a cohesive
mm-hmm.
story.
Yeah.
Right? there's a beginning, middle, and end with the trilogy.
Right.
Whether you liked Revolutions and Reloaded or not is beyond the point.
called Reloaded.
I know, it just doesn't. It's just so stupid.
Awful.
I know, it's just such a fucking. Just what a shitty. The Matrix Reloaded.
It just goes to show how good that first movie is.
Yeah.
You know. Mm-hmm. It's like, imagine if Blade 2 sucked.
Well, some people do think Blade 2 sucks.
They're wrong. They're wrong.
I like Blade 2. I hate the fight choreography in it. Yeah. I'll never be able to get off that horse. I think it's terrible. There's nothing.
Even with Donnie Yen?
Blade 2 suffers from the mid-millennium or early millennium curse of, we can do CGI.
Okay, it's
super cheap.
That's a completely different story.
It's not a completely different story.
I agree 100% about the CGI. I think the fight and like action choreography is done well. I don't think whenever they cut to CG, it's done well at all.
It's awful. It's terrible.
It takes me out of it.
And you can tell they're just saving money.
Yeah. It's one of those, or I don't even know if it's that. I think it could be partially that, but I think it's also like, let's try to do this because we can, you know?
It just looks so bad. They're so rubbery and they move so fast.
Really strange for a Guillermo del Toro movie because he's so into practical effects.
Exactly.
And there are really good practical effects in it too. But then I don't know what it was.
The older I get and the more that I learn about Guillermo del Toro as a filmmaker, the more I'm disappointed in Blade 2 and what it could have been. It's still great.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Yeah.
But when I think about what he's done with past movies and even movies after Blade 2, and to think like, well, why did he... And it's just, the only thing I can think of is he got caught up in the rush of, we can make them do whatever we want.
One of his earlier big budget action movies too. You know, this is before Hellboy. I think he'd only done a couple like mainstream movies before that, so maybe he was given a big budget and was like, we'll throw it in CG and it'll come out great.
Right.
You know? Who knows?
Hellboy's fight choreography is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, even the moments that like go to CG, you're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a thing to be said for like obviously practical effects, like old school guys like us who are like, I want more, whatever. There is a thing to be said about how good CG is, but there is a thing to be said also about knowing when to use it and when not.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of filmmakers in the early millennium just didn't.
No.
You know?
No, and I don't think it was there yet because you have to remember he also did Pacific Rim, which looks great.
Looks amazing.
But I mean, I think that's done in a way that makes sense given the technology of the time. But yeah, back then it didn't work out so well.
No.
Still a great movie. I don't want to hear it. Okay? Fast forward. It's okay. I've gotten over it. You can too.
I can't. There's the scene where he's fighting the big bad in the end, and there's moments where like, oh man, this is so visceral and like aggressive and just this looks so good. And then there's moments where it's just like, why does it cutting to wide? Oh, because these people aren't actually here. And and there's the moment where he like
someone
jumps off a
catapults
thing
like a million times, turns into Gumby for a second.
And he just does an elbow drop from like 80 yards away, and you're just like, we didn't need that.
Yeah.
The rest of this fight scene was good. Like, the perfect example is there's a fight scene when Blade first encounters the big bad. I keep forgetting his name. But they first encounter each other in that like broken down shitty club. And there's no CGI. It's just a really well choreographed fight scene. And you're like, this is awesome. And then you cut to the end of the movie where they're like, this is the big moment where they're going to have like the epic fight scene. Right. And this is the end of the movie. It's the penultimate scene. And they waste it with just all of this just Gumby, rubbery, gross fucking. Yeah. Anyway.
We're not here for that. We're here for the Matrix.
Which I hope at this point the filmmakers are like, yeah, we don't need to revisit Reloaded. It doesn't need to be, because Reloaded, to kind of connect that rant, Reloaded suffers from the same curse, which is the filmmakers were like, oh, we can just put this all into CG and do whatever we want. So now you've got Neo fighting 100 Smiths, and it looks disgusting. They're rubbery and weird looking, and they're flying all over the place, but they look like it just looks terrible. There's nothing realistic about it. They're elasticy, and you go back and watch it now, and you're like, I'm watching a movie. I'm not watching a guy fight 30 other guys. I'm watching a movie. So hopefully they learn from that.
Sure.
And they don't bring that back.
Everything from an action level from the trailers looks good. I think I mean most of it looks practical.
Yeah.
There's some really cool looking shots, so at very least hopefully it looks cool. But we'll see.
I mean, you have to watch Keanu doing John Wick and go, oh, well, that's audiences ate that shit up.
Yeah.
I can understand them wanting to go above and beyond that, but you have to realize what people are into in the first place, which is you can believe Keanu doing those things. And there's a difference between like him being like, I think in The Matrix, they got so caught up in he can do whatever he wants in this world. Yeah. How do we translate that to screen?
Right.
And they lost sight of the fact that like part of it is just watching Keanu do those things. Not imagine, like we imagined that he could do those things, but seeing him do all that weird shit and the way that it looked, it just didn't look right. So then it fucks up what you're imagining he can do.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's harder the more I'm using video game talk right now, but the more abilities he gets, because it's like you have to top whatever happened last, right? He has to continue to evolve and become this like god in the Matrix, essentially. Right. So like, okay, by the end of Matrix 1, spoiler alert, he can fly. So it's like, okay, what do you do next? Like, what are the limitations at that point? Like,
but that's the filmmakers' problem.
Right.
They're the ones who decided that at the end of the first movie he was going to fly away. Yeah. And now they have to figure out how to up the ante on that. Right. That's their fault. They didn't have to do that. Yeah. He didn't have to be able to fly, dude. No one wanted him to be Superman. He didn't need to be able to fly. Kung Fu, stopping bullets, that was enough. Yeah. Seeing the Matrix code, being able to morph the world into however he wants it, all of that was enough. The motherfucker didn't need to be able to fly. They decided that
flying
that
was too far.
That was, I mean, how do you make that practical? How do you make that make sense other than to make it look weird?
Yeah. Well, I think that helps The Matrix stand alone as a standalone movie because it is a complete arc, and by the end he is all powerful essentially. Yeah. He's still helping people. I guess he's not godlike at that point. He's just really good.
Yeah, we don't even know what that even means. I think you need the second and third movie to understand like what his like the limit to his powers.
You understand he's the savior though, essentially. He's there to help other people get out now. Yeah. And that's all we need to know. It can end right there. The Matrix front to back, I would say perfect movie.
I would agree.
I think there's nothing else needed there. We don't need to know more about that story. Nope. At least not from Neo's perspective. Right. I think we can learn more about other characters in that world who are trapped. That's kind of what the Animatrix is. Yeah. But I think that completes Neo's arc. And the rest of the time that we spend with him is like, what are we going to do now? We got to figure out what's going on here and find an ultimate baddie on top of the ultimate bad. It gets like Dragon Ball Z down,
Yeah. No, that's exactly the problem with Agent Smith. I think he's the perfect villain in the first movie. And then they go, well, how can we make him even more villainous in the second and third movie? And they start like to stretch the limits of what this character can be. Yeah. Because after a while, it's like, okay, he's unplugged from the Matrix. What is his motivation for even concerning himself with Neo and the plight of the fucking freedom fighters? Why does he even give a shit about them? He could go off and do whatever the fuck he wants. Sure. And for some reason, he's got this like vendetta against Neo because why? He bested him in a sparring match? Like, okay, so you're telling me this program has pride and the one thing that he cares about is beating Neo? Not freedom, not controlling the universe, none of that. Just besting Neo in hand-to-hand combat. Yeah. That's it.
To be fair, I think they paint Smith as all of humanity's worst impulses and the worst that humanity can be. So
I
think that that works on that level. But yes, I agree. I think.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't like.
It stops being compelling pretty early on.
Yeah,
after
because
the first
now
one.
you're just looking at now. Like, okay, you have to ask yourself, well, what is really the point of all of this? Why does he care so much? Why does anybody care so much?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, in the new movie, you don't get Larry Fishburne.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
There is always rumors that he's going to make a cameo.
There's rumors, and I think I just can't see how they don't bring him back in a cameo aspect. I just.
Yeah.
How can you make this movie, and how can you let the John Wick franchise
take that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
And have a character named Morpheus.
Come on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
There's no way he's not. He has to just show up
Yeah.
in a cameo aspect of, like a jump cut or a time jump rather, something.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Or just at the very end he pops out or something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine the movie and the way that when they ask him about it, when people asked him about it in interviews, he was just like, yeah, they just didn't ask me to be in it. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
They went back and made this movie and they just didn't ask him to be in it. They brought back the two characters that died. Spoiler alert.
Right.
They both died in the third one. Morpheus survived. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't get to be in the fourth one?
Well, he dies in the online game, which is apparently canon.
Don't say things like that to me.
So
don't say stuff like that.
Look it up.
I don't want to hear that.
It's true.
I don't need to hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
An online game is canon. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, no.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. You guys judge for yourselves. Go back and watch the Matrix trilogy.
I have to go back and rewatch the sequels. I have to. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
I was going to say it, but I didn't, so you don't get that one. It's been quite a while.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and give them another spin just to prep.
Listen, I'll say at the end of the day, they're a fun adventure. They're a fun little jaunt. The first one, as we've established, is a perfect film.
Yeah.
The second one, for all its misgivings with CG, there's really great fight choreography. Mm-hmm. And the third one goes balls to the wall. The third one's not good. I mean, I'm just not even gonna try to save it. The third one's not a good.
I remember
movie.
getting very weighed down in the Savior stuff.
Much. It's too much. Yeah. It just doesn't. Every time I watch that movie, because I watched it a lot, every time I watch it, all I can think is, this would have been so much better had the movie gone. You know what would be really cool is if we bring the characters back to the ground level and just have Agent Smith and Neo hand to hand, fisticuffs for like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
that would have been dope. If they were, if somehow they brought them back to the subway scene, and you know, Agent Smith was like, "We're back to where it all began," and they just like had a fight scene, super simple, very very practical, just two dudes duking it out. Instead, they were like, "This is two gods, and how do we illustrate what it means to be a god in the Matrix?" Well, they're flying around and. One guy they punch each other in slow motion and it like stops the rain and like one guy drives the other guy into the concrete, but it doesn't kill him.
Literally Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it is. It is. It literally is Dragon Ball Z, and it's like you just lost the plot on this one, man. It's just too much.
Yeah.
With all that being said, I think you should go back and watch all three.
I will.
If you're excited about the new one, you have to watch all three, just in case Resurrections is like. Amazing.
Really good, yeah. Which it could be.
It could be.
Could be.
It could be. I mean, you're bringing back. I think Keanu at this point is like not going to come back and do this movie unless the script was good.
You'd hope.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Carrie Ann Moss, the same thing. I
Sure.
think you'd think that she would only sign on whatever, if the script was good enough. And the guy who's playing new Morpheus or old Morpheus or young Morpheus, I always forget his name because it's like super African. No offense, but it's like really, it's just hard. It's hard to remember.
Yeah. All right.
It is. It's just a hard name to remember. But he's great. He played Mr. Manhattan, or Dr. Manhattan rather. He
didn't get his PhD.
Sorry,
Mr. Manhattan.
You're Mr. Manhattan to me. No, Dr. Manhattan. What else was he in? Candyman.
Right. Yes.
He's fantastic. He's a great actor. I just keep forgetting his name.
Yeah.
He's playing young Morpheus, and this guy so far has only really signed on for like really good shit too.
Yeah.
So
it's either he or his agent has been doing a very good job.
So yeah, I don't know.
There are signs of something good coming, but
yes,
we shall see.
We shall see. Mr. Anderson.
It's the smell.
If
there is such a thing.
Did I tell you I'm making a list of like my favorite line reads?
No.
I'll show you my list right
Okay.
now. So I have that. Is there a search option on here? Yeah, here we go. Let's see if I can just search line reads. Yeah. Okay. So I have
It's a good one.
the first one.
What? From Jaws.
But I do have it's the smell
Mm-hmm.
in The Matrix.
Yes.
Which I think is one of the best line reads ever. It's the smell. If there is such a thing. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic line read. I'm trying to put together a whole list of them.
That entire scene's really well done.
Oh, it's fantastic.
He's like
takes
the sweat off of him.
shoves it up his nose.
Yeah.
I mean, Lawrence Fishburne, man. Lawrence Fishburne, dude, does not get the credit he deserves. No. He is fantastic in everything he's ever done.
As a man who only recently watched Deep Cover, incredible.
Yeah.
Showstopper.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, Larry Fishburne. Well, when he was Larry Fishburne and now when he's Lawrence Fishburne. Everything he's done. I mean, you can say what you want about the movies that he's been in, but he fucking brings it, dude.
Yeah.
He
every time.
brings it.
Every time.
He deserves way more credit. Oh, shit. It's running down my leg. It's so wet.
What happens when you talk about Lawrence Fishburne?
I was saying nice things.
I know. Yeah, you get too excited, though.
Fuck, man.
I'm so sorry. You need a break? You need to take a
No,
break?
No. It's fine. I'll live with it.
All right.
I deserve it.
Okay.
I should have been more careful.
Sit in your mess.
I can feel it. Anyway.
I can feel it.
All right. So that movie, when's it supposed to come out?
Before the end of the year, right? Matrix Resurrections will come out on December 22nd.
That's amazing.
Yes, and it is.
That's right around the corner.
It really is, and it's coming out on HBO Max.
Oh,
as
shit.
well as in theaters.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's part of the. I totally forgot because they stopped.
Yeah.
They just stopped advertising it.
Don't get used to it. It's ending this year.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably one of the last ones we're gonna get.
I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Because Dune was one of the. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm gonna go to the theater for Matrix.
Yeah.
I went to the theater for Dune, and I do not regret it.
You do not?
I do not regret it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing
I'm
the theater.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go to the theater for Matrix.
I think they're showing it in the IMAX theater, so it may be worth putting up the extra money to go up there.
Yeah, whole thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's kind of switch gears and stay on the same beers. Let's get to some video game news.
Pew, pew.
This is
video games. That's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you keep working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about this an innumerable amount of times now at this point. And
Indubitably.
it seems like there was no answer on the horizon. And now, out of nowhere, seemingly, someone in the government has answered our prayers. Because apparently there's legislature on the books to make it so that these bots are outlawed when buying up new whenever these like new technologies drop, consoles, gaming systems, memory cards for
high value items.
High value
is
items
what they call them.
Yeah. So, do you have the legislature pulled up, or
I have an article here from videogameschronicle.com.
Probably better to read that off than for me to kind of
written by Chris Scullion. It says the, quote, Stopping Grinch Bots Act is being introduced by Representative Paul Tonkin, Senator Richard Blumenthal, Senate Majority Leader Charles Schumer, old Chuck
Schumer,
and Senator Ben Ray Lujan, and is designed to crack down on bot technology. Bots work by automatically notifying users when high-value items come in stock at retailers before circumventing any wait times, adding items to their cart, and then completing the checkout process, giving users a huge advantage over regular customers. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially it in a nutshell. It says it's hoped that the new bill will be signed into law, as was the Better Online Ticket Sales Act, which was introduced by Tonko, Blumenthal, and Schumer in 2016 to make it legal to use bots to buy event tickets. So it sounds like this is something that's, been done essentially in the past for other things, and they're just applying it to, other high value items that aren't just tickets, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why there'd be any pushback against this kind of thing other than some assholes being like, well, that's how I make my money, man.
Honestly, excuse me, those are the two pushbacks that I saw. Was one, people saying, shit, that's how I make my money.
Right.
And then the other thing was people going, really? This is what we're focusing on?
Oh, shut
People
up.
are starving in the streets, and we're focusing on video games and high-valued products.
They can do more than one thing at a time.
Well, that's always the thing is when it comes to stuff like this. It's like, what makes you think that this is the only thing on the books? You think that they spend their entire day, you think C-SPAN is recording them reading over the legislature for banning video game bots, and then everyone just, all right, cool,
That's
packs it up and goes home?
Go home. That's all we have to talk about today.
Or do you think maybe there's a little bit more on the books?
Yeah, I would think so.
I'm not even gonna shit, what was that phrase?
Lick their butt.
Dignify that with a response.
Ah, yes. I was going to say entertain that, but yes.
Entertain that is also
yes.
good.
Yes.
But yeah, so the second thing, people saying like, oh no, that's how I make my money. Go to hell.
Yeah.
Get a job. Do anything other than what you're doing, because you're evil. You're a bad person. I have zero sympathy for anybody who's like, oh no, what am I going to do now? Go fuck yourself. That's what you're going to do now. I don't care.
Yeah, something else.
Yeah, do anything else. Literally anything else.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Yeah. I don't care. That's not your plight as a person who makes it so that the regular person can't just go to Best Buy and buy a thing.
That's a classic not my problem kind of problem.
Exactly. Exactly. Go to hell.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
This is I just don't see anything. I don't see any problems with this law.
So, to put this even more in context, I see that there's quotes within this article too.
Okay.
So Tonko, which is one of the people who's on this signed off on this, is saying, at a time when families should be able to spend time with their loved ones, digital Grinch bots, quote, are forcing Americans to scour online sites in the hopes of finding an affordable gift or paying exorbitant prices for a single toy. Tonkin said in a statement. These bots don't just squeeze consumers, they pose a problem for small businesses, local retailers, and other entrepreneurs trying to ensure that they have the best items in stock for their customers. Our Grinch Bots Act works to level the playing field and prevent scalpers.
That close.
Sorry. I'm so used to it.
I've turned the gain up.
I'm so sorry. Our Grinch Bots Act works to level the playing field and prevent scalpers from sucking hardworking parents dry this holiday season. I urge my colleagues
You're good. You're good. Keep talking. Keep
to
talking.
join me in passing this legislation immediately to stop the Grinch bots from stealing the holidays. So they're making this really about the consumer, the sellers, and the holiday season, if I dare so say.
Of course they are, because that's how they sell things to people.
Of course.
Don't be fooled by these politicians. They saw a thing where they could slide in and go, "Oh, this will get me points."
It's their feel good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could give a fuck about you and I trying to afford a PlayStation or even being able to access a place. They don't give a fuck.
Right.
They don't care about the free market. They don't care about competition. They don't care about monopolies and industries. They don't give a shit.
Or dare I say the little kid who's crying on Christmas morning without a PS5.
Yeah, that's the last person they
let
give a
alone
fuck
us 30-year-olds, 30-something-year-olds who can't get one.
Yeah, they don't care. So before you start looking up these senators and congressmen and start lavishing praise on these people, let me just stop you right there. They don't give a fuck.
Nah, yeah, they don't need that.
If I was a politician, the first thing I would do is go after something like this.
Yeah.
Because it'll gain you points with everybody.
Sure.
The parents who want to buy the PlayStation, the youth that wants to buy the PlayStation. Shop owners, small business owners, even the big businesses like Best Buy and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, even them, it helps them. So they don't need your praise, and they don't deserve your praise. Because if you still don't have health care, don't lavish any praise on any politicians. How about that?
No.
Until you get health care, fuck them.
Yeah.
How about that?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, I got a PlayStation 5. Well, my teeth are rotting out of my mouth.
No kidneys still, but,
but I got a PlayStation. So I'm this close to getting my PlayStation, though. I'll talk about that when I can. When it's a reality.
Yeah, don't count the eggs
yet.
I
won't, right? You're
or
right.
Don't count the chicks yet.
No, yeah.
Before they hatch.
I won't do that.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's on the horizon.
Okay.
So
I'm hopeful.
We'll get back to that when we can.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, I just don't. I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about the fact that it doesn't make sense that this was even allowed for as long as it's been allowed.
It seems like it should have been illegal a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that's like the law follows slowly behind technology most of the time. So,
but I think honestly, man, that's the problem of the fact that our system is, first of all, it's filled with old people.
Yeah.
White, black, woman, whatever. They're all just
all
old.
the races.
They're all just
white, black, woman.
They're all just old.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
That's
the number one. The first problem. Like this kind of thing probably slid across these guys' desks hundreds of times.
Sure, and let's not be ageist, but if they're old and understand the current state of digital media and technology and the internet, fine. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But when it's their job to, make laws that cover things that they have zero understanding about, that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, and let me just say this. Do you know any politician that seems to have an understanding of social media, newer technology, anything? All of them are out of touch. Yeah. Even the younger ones. The Kamalas, the Pete Buttigieg's, find the youngest politician. Even AOC is the youngest one that I can think of that's prominent.
Yeah, she was streaming at one point.
And she seems to have a pretty solid understanding of technology.
Right.
And how it's used in this day and age.
Yeah.
That's it. And what is she? In her late 30s? Mid 30s? I don't know.
I think early mid maybe.
How old is she? Let's see if I still have a chance at AOC.
Okay. Is AOC.
I'm kidding. I am in a happy
She's
relationship.
32.
32?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Anyway.
I didn't know you were a communist, Marco.
I mean, I will be afraid. Anyway. She seems to be the only one who has like a... What?
It's not even that good of a joke.
You gotta say it now.
Let me give you my labor, baby. It's a communism joke.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's bad.
Yeah. I'll share my wealth.
What are you gonna share with her?
Crops. I got a hammer you could sickle.
That's good.
Thank you.
That one's good.
Thank you.
That one's good.
It took a little while, but
you had to workshop it a little
there.
bit, but we got it. We got it. She is the only one who seems to understand, and it's because she was born in the 90s, man.
Right.
Obviously, or 89, 90, whatever.
89,
She's the only one who seems to understand what it takes to, like, she gets memes and stuff like that. It's because she's in her fucking early 30s. The rest of them don't fucking understand or don't even want to understand. So now we're talking to people who have no idea what it means to live our lives. If you grew up, if you were already like 50, 60 years old when your constituency was 10, 15 years old, like, what the fuck do you know what it means to live the life that we live? I'm not saying that we're out here fucking growing crops and like I'm not trying to I'm not trying to say that our struggle is the same as the struggle of people of the generations before us. Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to say is our struggle is a different struggle.
Sure.
And most of them, 90% of them, don't really understand what the plight of our generation, because they think that because we have technology and all these advances that there's no way we could be going through anything.
Sure.
Because we have all of these things at our disposal. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just those things have evolved, and most of the time, older people, boomers, and et cetera, I mean, even Gen Xers at this point are out of touch with what a lot of people, a large portion of the population, is now, on a daily basis dealing with technology, social media, I don't know, just how they interact with the world in general. Yeah. And the threats therein. We're only now seeing real cyberbullying like laws go into effect and stuff, and more attention paid to it. Yeah. But even then it's like I feel like all of this happens a little too late, and it's because of that. And the system is set up so that most politicians that are the higher ups are inherently like 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years older than the people that they're, essentially deciding major things about across the board. Yeah. For people. It really became a reality for me when I was watching some of the congressional hearings when they were interviewing Mark Zuckerberg and when they were interviewing the guy who runs Google. And you watch them, and you watch the questions that they ask, and like their body language and the way that they treat it, they have zero understanding. Sure. What is a subtweet?
And it's just it's hilarious, and it's also incredibly frightening. Sure. That the people who run this country have no idea what Google is, what Facebook is, what Instagram is, what Twitter is, and you've got the previous president spent 80% of his time on one of those social media networks, and most of the people who make the laws that run this place don't understand. Yeah. They just didn't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is definitely scary to think that there are people making decisions about things that they don't know anything about.
And I think that's how it's always been.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that we are old enough to understand what it means to live in a society where it's like, oh, you don't understand what it means to live my life, and you are making laws that dictate how I live my life.
That's only happening at a faster rate because of the internet, because of how quickly technology is advancing.
Yeah.
Because if, I don't know, I'd say the difference, the time, let's say from like 1930 to 1950, I don't think there was that drastic of a difference between like what senators and Congress people knew about their constituency that, wasn't like on target, I guess, in the way that it is today. I feel like there is such an incredible shift in the youth and what everyone past a certain age, past like the internet age, knows and doesn't know inherently. And I think by the time that we're, of age of governance, if you will, it's going to be even more dramatic than that. I think we're going to have zero finger on the pulse. Even though we think we'll know what we're talking about, we won't.
Yeah.
Because it's just going at that quick of a clip. If you don't keep paying attention, you're going to lose it.
Yeah, I mean, because we're already looking at the generation after us, and we're like, you guys don't get it.
Right, exactly. So I see it happening already.
Yeah.
It's like I see it happening, and it's only going to take another 10 years, another 20 years until we are completely dusted.
Yeah.
And we're out of touch, and we think we know what we're talking about, and we'll have no idea what's actually happening, like, on the ground level for, kids, teens, 20-year-olds, even 30-year-olds, I don't know. I feel like that's only going to get worse and worse unless people start paying attention and realizing that's a thing that's happening.
Well, you would hope that the people who are going to be are want to be politicians who want to run this country are, I mean, I don't know, right wing, left wing, conservative, progressive, whatever. Those lines in the sand have been drawn, and I don't want to talk about that. But
No.
the people who are our age, who are going to be politicians in the next like 10 to 15 years, I mean, you would hope that they would understand, like, the way that Gen X and boomers understand the plight of their peers and don't give a shit about the plight of the next generation.
Right.
You would hope that they would understand the plight of our generation and maybe understand how poorly the previous generation handled the plight of the next generation and so on and so forth, and go, well, I can now change things, and I can run this country a little bit better and understand where people are coming from, even though they're 20 years younger than me.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a very idyllic way of looking at things.
It is, but I like it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to think about it. And honestly, I think the more that we're exposed through the internet to the larger world and all this information at us at one time, I think we're getting more adept at knowing that we will constantly be out of our depth.
Yeah.
Which knowledge is the first step. So as long as we know, we probably don't know anything.
Yeah.
I think that's a positive change from the generations before.
Yeah.
Because I think they knew in their heart of hearts that they knew everything.
Right. Right.
And there's nothing you could do to
Right.
say you got it wrong. This
Right.
isn't how the world is anymore. Sorry. So I think we're progressing slowly, but it's happening. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it starts with legislation like this.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah, I mean,
common sense stuff gets pushed through for the betterment of everybody, essentially.
Yeah.
Except for a small percentage of assholes. You know who we're talking to.
You.
But
Not
we'll see.
the audience.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see.
It's a good start, though.
Yeah.
It's a good
agreed.
start. So, hopefully it goes through, because I just want a PlayStation, man.
And others to have PlayStation.
Yeah, I want everybody to be able to have a PlayStation.
Everyone
man.
gets a PlayStation.
Everyone. You get a PlayStation, and you get a PlayStation. And if you want an Xbox, I don't know why, but you would get an Xbox too. And a graphics card for your fucking PC, if that's what you want. You should be able to get those things and not have to fucking, fight with a bot for it, or fucking bid for it.
Pay triple the amount.
No, fuck that, man. You should be able to just get it at retail and call it a day. This is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, you tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You. All right. I think we got it.
I think we got it too, yeah.
Well, before we get the fuck out of here, we have to do what has become a beautiful tradition on this podcast, which is the cheers of the week. Obi, I'll let you start it off because it is your bit.
Well, let's see.
Oh, my ass.
This week's cheers of the week for me.
There's nothing in here. Keep going. Keep talking. I'll grab the other one.
Is going to be...
wait. Slow down. Go in slow motion.
Is going to be... I'm sure this is very thrilling for everyone listening at home. My cheers of the week is going to be on something that we actually touched on last episode with Juan.
Shout out to Juan.
Shout out to Juan. What up? But it's the Beatles doc that I was finally able to finish. I can now confirm that it is awesome.
It's amazing.
So good. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Beatles fan, it goes without saying, you got to watch this thing. If you're not a Beatles fan, I mean, I still think it's worth a watch if you're interested at all at the creative process in general. It's weird though. Thank you. It's very weird to me. It's almost not a documentary to me.
Yeah.
It's just like being a fly on the wall. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not set up with this narrative. There's no like voiceover. There's no B-roll and storytelling like that. It's literally just footage and audio, sometimes spliced together.
Yeah.
But it is so interesting to see, these 4 legendary figures in music just be people and just be friends and just hang out for a while.
Yeah.
And have their tension, have their fun. I mean, like, just be goofing off and make classic songs.
Yeah.
In the downtime,
Yeah.
I mean, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
It took me a little while to get used to, like, not looking for where they splice things together and, like, not looking for, like, their mouths not moving correctly.
Yeah. That was weird.
Because I was like, oh, that's not right. That's not what's happening there. And, like, the editor and persnickety film guy in me kept pointing that out and being like, that's not it. That's not the clip they were actually using the audio from. But I very quickly let that go and just kind of embraced what is, I mean, just incredible. The fact that we're able to get that behind the scenes look at the Beatles' creative process at near the very end of their careers together, and just see them as people again. I think that it's such an intimate, not even portrayal. It's just them. It's them being them, which is really something special that we don't get very often with any artist, let alone the Beatles.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
one of the most legendary groups of all time, considered by many to be the greatest rock band of all time, and you get this very intimate look into their creative process and how they not only how they crafted these songs, but like how they treated each other, especially in this, like you said, it was very close to the end of the Beatles. I mean, Let It Be and Abbey Road were 67, 68. I mean, Lennon left the group in 69, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, it was only a year and a half away from, like, the end of the Beatles.
They put out Let It Be they put out Abbey Road in 69 and Let It Be in 70.
So, yeah, I mean, by that point, the band was done.
And this footage is from, like, 69, I think. Early 69, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, by that point, if I'm not mistaken, because I read up on it, Lennon left the group in 69. So like as soon as he left the group, Abbey Road and Let It Be were like out. McCartney left the group like a month afterward, and then like almost immediately put out McCartney, his solo record.
Yeah, and you hear them starting to play like play with some of their own like
Yes.
solo stuff.
Harrison is doing some of his All
Yeah.
Things Shall Pass stuff, and Lennon is doing some of his stuff, and McCartney's doing some of his stuff, and Ringo's just back there having a good time. You gotta love Ringo.
I love Ringo so much.
How can you not love Ringo even more after watching this doc, where he's just back there like, oh, just like, I think about Dewey Cox,
Yeah.
where they had, I think it was Patrick Schwartzman do Ringo, and he's just like,
I made a song about an octopus. Almost verbatim, he says that.
Exactly.
I wrote a
That's
song
all
about
he
an
cares
octopus.
about is like just getting these weird songs on the album. That's all he cares about. He has no concerns about like the overall creative process or like what this means to the legacy of the band. He's just there.
He is almost the vehicle for the audience. Like,
Yeah.
he is who we would be if we were the Beatles. It's just you're there. You're like enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, just be there and have a good time.
There's a moment where Linda McCartney's wife at the time, well, not at the time, but I don't know.
2D.
I don't care. Yeah. She's like, I like Ringo the most. She actually says that. She's like, Ringo, I like Ringo the most. And George Martin, their producer, he's like, yeah, he's the most pleasant. He's the most fun to be around. They're like, yeah, he's the nicest.
Even the paper that they were referencing that they're all like pissed off about because
Yeah.
they were like slammed in it.
Yeah.
They were like, everyone's weird, but Ringo. He's the one who stayed normal.
He stays sane throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it, dude. I love that shit. I'm glad you watched it because I have watched it up until actually the performance, which I didn't know until like the other day that they gave him all of the footage. They gave Peter Jackson all of the footage, not just the documentary stuff, but the actual performance too. So the performance is part of the doc and everything.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to just sit and watch the full performance. I've watched it basically up until the performance.
Okay.
So I've
The
pretty much
rooftop
watched the whole
performance.
thing. Yeah, the legendary Apple Studios rooftop performance of Let It Be.
It's very good.
So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, it's dude, I've just been every moment that I have to myself, I've just turned it on to.
I will say when you're done with it, at least for me, I felt like a little sad that
I feel sad watching it.
well, just that, you know, obviously like knowing where a lot of their stories go, and it's not necessarily, you know, good, but beyond that, it's just like, again, this isn't really a documentary. It's like hanging out with a group of people for a while.
Yeah.
So it's like you get so used to, and it's a you know, beefy viewing. It's like 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have all this time with these people, like in their most intimate spaces and stuff. And now that there's no more of it, it's like, oh man, I wish I had more time. You know, like more time to watch that and experience that and kind of just hang out with them.
Yeah.
Because you know. It's just so it's a very strange, very unique experience watching that.
Yeah, I mean,
documentary.
I watch it from like a songwriter's perspective, and just I don't know, it messes with me in a way of like, well, first of all, it's hard to watch as a songwriter because you're like, I'll never be able to write anything like that. I can't believe
Where's my Let It
that
Be?
they just came up with that on the spot. Can you imagine? Just sitting there strumming the guitar, and then you just go, get back, and you're like, I'm sorry. He came up with that spontaneously.
Yeah.
He just came up with that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Just had a riff and just kept playing it out.
And then he had accomplished enough musicians around him to just go, all right, let's flesh this
roll
out.
with it.
And then you turned it into Get Back. Like,
Yeah.
on that level already, you're like, I'll never be able to do that. So as a songwriter, you go, I feel so insignificant.
Yeah.
I feel like...
And it seems so like not meaningless, but like so simple to them, you know?
Yeah.
Not easy because they go through things over and over and it's like agonizing.
painstakingly.
Yeah. But
when they come up with it.
Yeah, doing it, the doing part is like
easy.
So easy. Like
It's-
they're literally playing. They're just like, nah.
Some of the greatest rock songs of all time are just throwaways to them.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, well, you like that? All right, let's flesh that out. And you're like, hey, man.
That's good.
It's one of the best
It's really
songs I've
good.
ever heard.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So yeah, it on that level, and then just watching them dissolve, you can see that there's still a lot of love between the four of them, and you can see them try to keep the band together. You can see the effort being made, but you can also see that they're four grown men and they're tired of being in a boy band.
Yeah.
And they all have different ambitions. You can see Lennon has different ambitions of his own. You see Paul McCartney has very, very different ambitions. He's a leader, and he doesn't want to step on anybody's toes. You can see that he's a sensitive person, and he doesn't want to make anybody feel bad, but he has an idea of how he wants these songs to be, and he doesn't want to make George or John or Ringo feel bad about themselves.
He's tired
but
of,
he's like
stepping on eggshells, basically.
Right. He's like, I know how these songs are supposed to sound.
Yeah.
And I can't care about your feelings anymore. I know how these songs are supposed to sound.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, I mean, because when you listen to those Beatles songs, you're like, well, it's probably good that Paul didn't have like full creative control, because those songs are incredible, and it's only you can only imagine like what he would have done to them.
Says the biggest fan of Obla Di Obla Da.
Yeah, exactly, dude. If Paul McCartney had his fucking way, I don't know if I'd even be a Beatles fan. Period.
I read up just like you did after finishing the documentary and just reading about the turmoil around Maxwell's Hammer.
Yes.
And one of the quotes from, I forget who it was, but it was like, Paul makes songs for 6-year-olds, essentially. And we were tired of making these baby songs.
He does. Sometimes you're just like, who is this supposed to be for?
Yeah.
Paul writes, I mean, just incredible music. There's some songs where you're just like, this is just like a devastatingly good song.
Yeah.
And then some songs you're just like, who was this supposed to be for? What child was he writing this for?
Yeah.
Maxwell's Silver Hammer is a child song.
Sure, except for the content of it. But,
right.
Yeah.
But like the sound of it.
Sonically, yeah.
Yeah. So it's fascinating to watch that aspect of it. It's fascinating to watch this band dissolve, and you can see the love for each other, and you can see even the love kind of, I don't want to say dissipate, but you can see where people like they just grow up. You can see like they have families, they have women in their lives, and they have like, you know, ideas that they have that like George leaves the band, and he's like, you know, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you could see why. It's like the most calm argument.
Yeah, right. When he leaves, he's just like, I'm done.
See ya.
I have officially left the Beatles, and he's just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
well, it's because they weren't listening to him.
They weren't. And to his credit, All Things Must Pass. One of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
So, you know,
it's the Beatles' liquid swords, if you will.
Yes, exactly. That's the best comparison.
Yeah.
So yeah. If we haven't sold it enough, if you're even minimally a Beatles fan, Paris is not like the Beatles, and I'm just like, I don't get how you can't. I'm just spending all my free time watching this.
There's so many eras of Beatles, so many different sounds that the Beatles went through. You have to like something in there, something in the way. That's all.
You hear that?
That's all we can do.
All right.
You okay there?
I hit the light.
Yeah. All right.
There you go.
Don't break the set.
My cheers of the week is going to Virgil Abloh.
Virgil Abloh.
Rest in peace. Legendary designer, creative director for Louis Vuitton, collaborator with Kanye West most specifically, but Tyler the Creator, West Side Gun, a large number of influencers, rap artists, not even just rap artists, just artists in general. He fought cancer for the past like 2 years. And I wouldn't say nobody knew, but like the public didn't know.
Sure. Yeah.
And I saw a tweet that was really meaningful to me, where someone was like, he didn't battle a secret battle with cancer. His
Right.
family knew. His friends knew.
Sure.
The public just didn't know.
Yeah.
It's not a secret battle.
It just wasn't publicized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, people need to wake up and start realizing, like, you don't know these people.
Sure.
It's not a secret. He told the people who it mattered to.
Right.
You're just a person, you know?
Right.
You just go on his Instagram.
He doesn't owe you that information.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
But he passed away, and he was just like super influential in a lot of ways that people don't even realize, like the album covers that he designed, the clothing that he designed, the direction that he took Louis Vuitton. I mean, he created one of my favorite shoes of all time, which is the Off-White Air Jordan. The Air Jordan 1 Off-White collaboration, I think, is one of the best shoes ever made. I may be derided by this by sneakerheads, but I'll maintain that I think the Jordan 1 is still one of the greatest sneakers ever made.
Sure.
A lot of people say the best sneaker ever made. And I think that the Off-White, the version that Virgil came up with of the Jordan 1 rather, I think it's one of the best remixes of a iconic silhouette I've ever seen. I still maintain that. I'll fight people over that. There's some stuff that I don't super agree with. He did some weird shit, but that's what you do when you're a designer and you're
fashion,
trying to
baby.
innovate. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I had no idea, because I'm just a guy. I had no idea that he was battling this private battle. And then when all of that stuff came out, I was like, holy shit! I had no idea. And I just think that he deserves. People don't really understand his influence on street culture, street fashion. I don't talk about it much on the podcast, but like I just read a bunch of couture and fashion, all that bullshit. Call it what you want. I don't care. I like it.
It's called fashion.
It's called fashion.
How about you learn about it?
And he was big. He
Yeah.
was big, man. And so yeah, shout out to Virgil. Rest in peace. His legacy it looms large over. I mean, even the stuff that he designed the Watch the Throne cover. He designed the Cruel Summer cover. He designed the West Side Gun's new cover for Pray for Paris. He designed. I mean, he just he looms large over a lot of things that people don't really understand that he had a hand in designing. So, yeah. Just wanted to say shout out to Virgil, Off-White, not Louis Vuitton, because whatever, they're just a fashion house, but whatever. Yeah. So there you go.
You're here.
Cheers. Delicious. Delish. All right. You think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, if Adam says that we got it, before we can get out of here, we have to review these beers. What am I talking about?
I was waiting for you to know this.
All right. So tonight's brew was from Redlight. Redlight. It's the Streets of Gold. It's a Hellas lager. And Adam, just tell the people what you thought of this crispy boy.
I think it's great. Very easy drinking, very smooth, very crisp. Which I've been in a crispy boy mood. I've been more attracted to the lighter German-influenced, dare I say, weedy beers as of recent. And this one ranks pretty high. Very tasty, not over the top with flavor, a little sweet. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. Give it a 4.5. Let's get one more. I feel like there is a slight aftertaste that keeps it from getting a 5 in my book. Just a little bit of a bitter at the very end. But that shouldn't discourage you from trying this one out. It actually is one of my go-tos at Redlight. Redlight. Yeah. It is a very you know what you're getting kind of beer. So if I can't figure it out, I will go with one of these, and it's for good reason.
That's a good way to describe it. And know what you're getting kind of beer.
Mm-hmm.
No nonsense. Know what you're getting. Helles Lager. Touch sweet. A little crisp towards that back end. I think that may be the thing that's kind of throwing you off a little bit. It's like a little too crispy on the back end.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
But I think it's just like that's the best way to describe it. You know what you're getting. It's a lager, a Helles Lager. It's delicious. If you don't know what you want, if you can't think of anything, I would go with this. It's fantastic.
Great entry level craft beer.
Yeah.
I think if you're a newcomer to craft beer, first of all, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
But I think this is a great entry point because, it's not so far off from some of the stuff that you may be used to having. Mm-hmm. But, just packs way more flavor, way more character.
Yeah.
It's definitely a step up.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 also. So
Great.
Unanimous 4.5 for the Streets of Gold Helles Lager from Redlight. Now, do you think we got it?
I'm pretty sure we got it now.
All right. Well, we know for sure now that it's been gotten.
Sure hope so.
This has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Dupa, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Lick the butt.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have a beautiful evening.
We love you.
You're stupid.
Yum, yum, yum,